Hey, if you're an avid angler, it's a good bet that there's a body of water that you heard about that you always dreamed about going to. Well, Dan Lindner and I are about to check one of them off of my bucket list.
Northwest Ontario. This part of the world grows some of the biggest fish on the planet, and we will be targeting smallmouth on Marmion Lake.
Got him. It ain't a giant, but it ain't
yeah.
bad. Oh yeah.
That's nice. Whoop, double header out.
I'll get this baby off the hook. This lake is beginning to look like everything I had heard it was supposed to be.
Y'all got that one on a swim jig, and I immediately picked up my other rod. We've got several rods rigged, which you have to when you're coming up here finding fish. You know, we're using search bait tactics, a lot of horizontal baits moving fast, so nibbled on a grub. We'll get her back in the water. Here she goes.
You know, there's a rule of thumb that you could kind of keep in mind if you're coming up to Northwest Ontario for the first time and you're looking for lakes that have big numbers of big smallmouth like this. The rule of thumb is pretty simple. The bigger the water, the bigger the fish, and there's more of them. In these big lakes, especially if they've got tulipy or smelt in them, that's where these giants are. I'm gonna go out on a limb. I can't document this, I can't say it's a fact, but I believe there is more smallmouth bass in all of the lakes spread across Northwest Ontario than possibly anywhere else in the United States combined.
Marmion Lake is no little body of water. This thing is huge, or at least it fishes huge. There is so much good-looking water, you have to have a game plan, otherwise you'll never leave one bay. We know that the biggest fish in the system are up in the north end. There are 3 primary types of cover up there: standing timber, weed beds, and classic broken rock. Where we ended up finding the majority of the smallmouth was on broken rock shorelines in a depth of 6 to 8 foot. This was classic looking smallmouth water.
Coming up.
Big one.
Coming up. I told you I was gonna get one here, Al. It just looked too right. It looked too right.
A lot better than that last fish.
Yep. Oh,
That's a mule. Oh my God.
you gotta love that bite.
Big fish.
Yeah, we gotta think about the tournament next year on this lake, that's for sure. Al and I are pre-fishing for a tournament next year. Maybe. Al and I are gonna be new partners. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
You keep putting them in the boat like that and you got me for
Look
a
at this
partner.
fish.
I'll tell you what, you win with that. You win with those.
Oh man. Oh my gosh. Look at that thing. Boy, that's heavy, man. That is heavy fish. You know, some fish weigh real heavy, like they're thick boned. That's one of them, boy. That's the fish you want.
Yeah, you know, we're up here for 3 days. And we've never been up here. The water is big. There's a lot of water up here. So we wanted to take a look at a lot of it. And we got to fish it really fast. What we're doing is just looking at the lake, trying to figure out a pattern. We don't have a single vertical bait on.
Lures, lures, lures. Thousands to pick from, millions of color combos. Here's a few lure choices for covering water quick, and smallies always love them. Number 1, my favorite, and quite possibly the best lure ever developed for smallmouth, the X-Wrap. You never, ever, ever go out fishing for smallies without one of these on. Number 2, the old standby, a Terminator T1 spinnerbait with a willow leaf blade. This is another bait that always puts fish in the boat, and it's so simple to fish. Number 3, it's the swim jig, rigged with either a grub, a craw, or a boot tail. The craw just flaps its little arms. The grub is very subtle, and the boot tail makes this jig kind of roll back and forth. Number 4, what about a topwater? Well, of course we got one on at all times. The skitter prop has got to be one of the best search tools out. A lure skittering across the surface has a large zone of awareness, and you can call fish from great distances to show themselves. Last but not least is a VMC drop-dead weighted hook, rigged with a big bite cane thumper. It looks so good in the water, fish have to eat it.
Surprise, surprise. Smallmouth surprise.
Oh, man. I'm
Right
looking
here.
at yours and look at his baby.
Nice.
Oh, man.
Wow.
I'm sitting looking at him catch his little dink, and all of a sudden, I looked away from my bait, and the rod just slams. And look at the size of this mogator. Oh, come here. Man, oh boy, see, you can't even get, they're so tough.
Yeah.
So tough,
Wow.
they don't like it when you put a lip lock on
Yeah,
them, I'll
that's a
tell you
nice
that.
one.
Look at the
They
size.
are
I mean,
heavy,
the
too.
fish up here are absolutely incredible. Everything that we heard about Marmion, it's come true. Hey, if you're planning a trip up north sometime, pack your bags, head up to Northwest Ontario, and take advantage of these smallmouth bass on many of these big smallie lakes all over Northwest Ontario. It be a fishing experience that you'll never forget. There really is no place like this.